Hello everyone and welcome back to Age of Nagash, and in this video we're going to continue looking at some news for Warhammer Age of Sigmar, and we're going to be talking about the new update that the Sons of Behemat are getting, so all the gargants for the Mortal Realms. Now I know that this news dropped a few days ago, but I was away with the family celebrating birthdays and stuff, which was absolutely lovely, but I still wanted to cover this when I get back because although I've never done a Son of Behemat Army, like the closest I've got is a Elga's the Gargant, as I believe they were called in Age of Sigmar, carrying an overlord ship that I'm looking at right now, which is currently occupied by destruction, and that is a model I do want to finish at some point. But I always think the Sons of Behemat Army was quite cool. I just thought it was very limited in the amount of models that it had obviously available to it. But now with the new update, it's going to show some new shiny stuff. And I haven't read the article yet, so I wanted to do that as well on the video, sort of like see first time, like, you know, what we're going to get and all that sort of thing. And I've only seen photos, so I haven't seen this trailer that we're going to see here, but I just want to play this first and then we're going to read through the article together and see what's coming. And also let me know your thoughts on the new shiny models coming out for the Sons of Behemat Army, and if you are excited. Is this an army you already collect, or is this an army that you are going to want to start collecting? So with no further ado, let us get into the video. Right, okay, I think that looks really, really cool. They've got loads of new models. I thought it was maybe just like one or two or something. So we go back on to the article. I think that was really, really good. It goes to show that, lots to say about that along the lines of, obviously where you've got Ogre Mortars that have just came out, and it goes to show that how much attention that Destruction are now kind of finally getting. As an old school Death player, I always used to complain that Death didn't get enough love, and then over the last few years, or probably the last 5 years or so, they've had so many more updates come out for it. So Destruction was definitely the one that was needing some love, and it looks like they're definitely getting it here with obviously all the Ogre Mortar stuff coming out, and with this Sons of Behemat, and it kind of makes sense because obviously the styling is very similar. You know, a lot of these models is just skin, so you know, the skin texture and stuff they've designed into the plastic, presumably is probably something that's quite easily transferable. You know, like at least the skills that the designers have been doing can easily be transferred onto the other army, being the Sons of Behemat. And yeah, they got loads of stuff. I like it. They look like they had a range unit as well, like the Rock-hurlers. That looked quite good. I think they were called was it the Boss-stompers? I love the guy with the helmet. That looks sick. And then you also get some really big looking beasties coming out, and then like a shaman as well. And they all look really, really well done. So yeah, really, really cool. Let's see what they actually have to say about it. So leading the way is a Gargant Witch, okay, and her two ferocious beasts. Yes, so like these two big beasts, they've got to be massive. They've got to be, you can see here, like on another article, you've got the Ogre, big Rhino, and they've got to be at least that size. If she's the same size as a normal Mega Gargant, it'd be really interesting to see sort of size comparison. So it's known as the Choser of the Mighty. Ma Maegran, or Maegran I think it was, is a strange mystical creature whose reputation as a seer and witch leads even the great Mega Gargants to show her respect and deference. It is said that she can bestow the blessing of a almighty bigness upon one who might please her, but that she can also strip it away from those who earn her ear. Okay, so that's cool. So this definitely sounds like maybe in the rules wise, you know, when your big models tend to have a better control score, she might be able to take that away. She might be able to make one of your units have a better control score. So that's like the basic level I'm thinking, but the cool, really cool bit of that means it could be she could turn one of your Guzzler Gargants, or they're probably going away, but what maybe the equivalent for them are like the Boss-stompers or something. Maybe turn one of those into a Mega Gargant. You know how like you can turn a like a Chaos Lord or something into like a Demon Prince for Slaves of Darkness? That could be a really cool thing we can see here. Like, because I love stuff like that, you know, replacing one model for a better model when they achieve something. It's like that could be really, really cool. And I think she's really well designed as well. I love it that the beasties are very sort of elemental. You know, they've got literally looks like a mountain, probably about the size of a mountain there. So yeah, I think that's cool. It's interesting they say like even the Chosen of the Mighty. So basically, she makes even the great Mega Gargants. That's what I was looking for, to show her respect. It kind of makes it sound like, so if it's even the great Mega Gargants, it's like maybe then she's not the size of a Mega Gargant. So that'll be interesting to see how it's worded there. But yeah, so I think it's really cool, and you get these two. So I presume that's all in one box. Yeah, I think she maybe halfway in between like an El Guzzler and a Mega Gargant, because her and these two in one box, if she is a Mega Gargant size, would be, well, number one, incredibly expensive, and number two, like a huge box set just for like 3 models. So maybe they're separate, but they make it look like it's all in one, and she'll be sort of like halfway in between, I think. So that's probably what we're going to see. Be interested to see what does happen though. So it says, in battle, she is accompanied by the 2 ancient Gyroxes. Okay, so ordinary megafauna that pulse with the life magic Gyran, and she bears an uncanny ability to go unnoticed by her enemies until practically on top of them. Though that might be because she simply refrains from hollering, bawling and smashing like her less restrained kin. Okay, so she's quite an intelligent one. Obviously she's, you know, more like a shaman, but she is very much along the lines of you know, sneaky, tactical sort of uses, and yeah, well, she can literally sneak up to her. Imagine that sneaking up on you, that's insane. And one of the big beasties can as well. So it says she'll also be joined by a new band of Gargants who skirmish around the feet of their taller kin. Yep, so they are smaller as I suspected. The Boss-stompers are a set of multi-plastic kits, multi-plastic warriors fielded in your army as a trio armed with a variety of brutal clubs. Okay, so these are them. So you've got this one with a, what's that? Is that a wheel attached to a club or something? So this is where I was going on about El Guzzler Gargants, and obviously not that anymore. They've got different names, but that is the sort of size I think they'll be. Maybe a little bit bigger just to keep up with the sort of like scale creep Age of Sigmar does, but not nearly the size of a Mega Gargant. So you got that one. This is my favourite one, the one with the helmet. I think that's really, really cool. I do really like the trousers. It's definitely a throwback to like the El Guzzler Gargants, the traditional Warhammer Fantasy Gargant. I think it's really, really nice. And then also, like, 'cause I'm pretty sure that is a weapon you can give the original giant, where it's like basically just a club with swords and stuff stuck through it, basically a tree stump. So that's cool to see there. The next one, so yeah, you get female Gargants as well, which is cool. Good variety there. And I think this really sort of kind of, and obviously, you know, I presume that she's a woman as well, and I like it because it just kind of makes the army definitely feel fleshed out, and something that is actually part of the mortal realms, and something that, you know, is not just a say society, that's a bit of a grand word, but it's definitely a race, where before it was like, you know, here are like 3 Mega Gargants and like some smaller El Guzzler Gargants, and that's about it. You know, there's always one that loves getting Krakens, there's always one with, looks like an executioner with the mask, and then there's always one that's just like, you know, a big stomper. So I know they also had like the king that came out as well, so that did help, but I think just adding, you know, easy like female giants, it just makes it definitely feel more like a race. And with so much more variety now, you know, without even trying to think just how many models they're going to have in their army. Again, this sounds like a multi-part plastic kit, like it said, and you build them, then you can probably build the rock ones out of them. Hopefully the rock ones are a different kit. I say that just to try and give more variety, so if you're looking at the army on a shelf, it's not just like 4 boxes. So yeah, I think it's cool. I love, you know, these little guys as well. I think we've seen them before as well, and I can't remember their names, but I think they're cool. They're a lot of character, and I really like that sort of like almost like Spartan without like the plume, sort of like really gladiatorial sort of helmet. I think that's really cool. So yeah, so that is the Boss-stompers. So when it says the Sons of Behemat go to war, it's the Boss-stompers who take upon themselves the hard graft of scattering the enemy forces and pulverizing their leaders. Such tactical thinking isn't exactly commonplace among the Gargants, and some whisper that within the Boss-stompers resides a flicker of the ancient Be Behemeti. I think that was the like their all-father sort of thing from back in the day where they all came from. That's Age of Sigmar lore that I read a long time ago, and I can't remember. I'm pretty sure it's like the first Gargan. So it says, and that's not all. The Boss-stompers kit alternatively makes another unit, the Rock-hurlers. Okay, so it means one less box on the shelf to make the army feel more full, but probably on the good side of that, which is actually better thinking about it. It just means you get more spare parts in the kit, which is something that you always want, because a lot of Age of Sigmar kits you don't really get many spare parts on, but this definitely sounds like one you will do, a bit like the Rock Gut Trogoffs, hopefully. So yeah, so these are the range looking ones, presumably they hurl the rocks, it's kind of the name. Again, yeah, so you get a mix there. They're going to share some body bits, but like different heads. There's a lot of head variety by looks of things in the army. The kit, lots of things to throw. And the other thing is, you can easily use this stuff as scenery with your base and all that sort of thing. You cut away the hands and all that sort of stuff. So you could definitely get a lot of use out of this kit. So yeah, I like that. Be interested to see how many you get in a box. Will it be 2 in a box? Will it be 1? Probably 2, because then like otherwise everything in that army is just 1 model per box. So probably 2, I reckon. Or maybe 3, because they've given you 3 kind of alternative looks here, so it might be 3. So we'll have to wait and see. It says, not just a clever name, Rock-hurlers bond over their shared love of pelting their foes with rocks and chunks of plundered masonry. They love nothing more than attempting tricky shots that result in bone-shattering impacts and splattering sounds, just what you'd expect when you're hit by a boulder the size of a goat. In the terms of size, the Boss-stompers and Rock-hurlers are a bit bigger than the Man-crusher Gargants, but not as large as the Mega Gargants, leading to them being classified as little by their larger counterparts. I might have been saying it wrong. Were they? Was El Guzzler like the original Age of Sigmar name for the Man Crushers? I think it was, actually thinking about it. So I meant Man Crusher every time I was saying El Guzzler. So yeah, like I said, they're a bit bigger than them, but mainly for like the scale creep of Age of Sigmar, so what I expected. And then rules for these new units will be found in the upcoming battletome Sons of Behemat, which updates the faction with new rules, background and lore, and a suite of beautiful miniatures in the gallery. So this is, essentially new battletome. If they've got new models without a new battletome, they're weird, but new rules, new shiny rules. Age of Sigmar 5th edition is, strongly rumored to come out next year, so just bear that in mind. But if it's anything like, 40k 11th edition, they've made the books be able to transfer over, because nobody wants to buy something that's not going to last at least a year. So it says Ma Maegran, so this is like the shaman, the Boss-stompers and the battletome will be available for pre-order soon. You'll have more news about them and a look at the updated rules as we get closer to the release, so keep your eye out on the Warhammer community. So I'll try and follow that as I can. For your Sons of Behemat, this is a shorthand for an uprooted tree with various spiky or heavy objects jammed into the trunk. Okay, so what do I think of this? I think, for me personally, I think if you're a Son of Behemat player, you're going to be eating very well. If you're a Destruction fan, it's another fleshed out army for you, finally, a bit like you had with the Ogres, all happening at once, right? It's probably one of these things where it would have been cool. One was last year, one was this year, but all happening at once. And I think, for me, Sons of Behemat have gone from an army that I wasn't really interested in just because of the lack of models. And like cool models, but a lack of them. And it's not like you can fit many in a list anyway, but I wanted a bit more variety. But now seeing all of this stuff, it definitely is an army that definitely makes me more want to do the army. What I will say is I've got so many armies and so many projects, especially where I've been playing quite a bit of Lord of the Rings with my mate and stuff at the moment. So it's been trying to keep your focus in so many games and so many armies. Like I think for Age of Sigmar, the armies I've already got, and then ones, just to say, like ones that I want to build up are Flesh Eater Courts, Ultra Bone Reapers, Gloomspite Gits, Seraphon. They're like what, 4 I can just think of. Then armies that I want to add to are Soul like Gravelords, even though I've got loads. Slates of Darkness, even though I've got loads, and I've got loads to build and paint for it. If I just look at my shelf of only some of the models that I need to add to it, and then 40k I've got the start of an Elder army to build and paint up, and I've got the Armageddon box set. So I don't know if I will do this army, and especially how I've already got a destruction army, like I said, the Gloomspike Gits that I want to build up, and with Gloomspike Gits, it's all, and also I've got a Nighthorn army. You know, that's another thing I just thought about, but with the Gloomspike Gits, it's an army that I think's cool. And then after that, I'd love an Iron Jaws army. So I don't know if the Behemats of Sons of Behemat would beat the Iron Jaws, but what would make them more tempting is it's a few models to build and paint up to put on the table, and that's why I think this is also probably quite a great, good sort of like beginner's army. And again, I have no idea sort of like what the rules are like. Not really up to date what the rules are like now for the Sons of Behemoth, to be honest with you. So, and I don't know what the new rules are going to be. So I don't know, you know, how beginner friendly they are in that sense, but they are very much along the lines of it's not many models to build and paint to put on the table, and you're probably going to have a great time just going around smashing some things. I don't know, you know, it's the best in terms of it's not the most forgiving army as a new player because you have fewer models, so you can't afford to make as many mistakes with them because, you know, if you misplace one model on the table and it ends up being tied up somewhere, not doing anything, that could be a quarter of your army, or, you know, a sixth of your army or something. Being wasted, whereas if you're playing an army of lots of models and you have like one small unit tied up, it's not the end of the game because most of your other army is most of your army is doing something else. And that's that. I think on that note, I think like I said before, it's the Ogre War Tribes are kind of like a perfect army again without like really reading too. I've seen a bit of the new rules, but without reading too much of the new rules. I think they're a perfect beginner army because their rules are fairly simple in terms of, you know, you're going to go up and smash the enemy and you're going to eat them and then, you know, increase your abilities and so on as you go on. And they're an army that's quickly easy to paint. If you wanted to, you could contrast them, you know, just a few material colors for their pants and their tops and their, you know, their armor and stuff, and then just a lot of skin. So that's exactly the same that we can see here. So I think they're two very similar looking armies. You know, if you really want like a low model count army that's got some big chunky boys in it that are going to smash the enemy, play ogres. If that's still too many models for you, play Sons of Behemat. So with that, guys, I'm going to thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, smash the like button and press subscribe if you would like to watch more videos of me reviewing new upcoming stuff for Age of Sigmar, and also my long in-depth army series, which, like I say, there will be a Flesh Eater Court one starting very soon, so we get into that. And I just wanted to cover this before I start the Flesh Eater Court series because I thought this was a very cool update for Age of Sigmar. And who doesn't like big giants? You know, I think it's a very easy army for people who even don't even play the army, just to think it's a cool update. But yeah, let me know, are you excited? Is it an army you already do? Is it an army that's now finally made you decided you want to do it? Let me know that in the comments down below. And which one's your favourite? You know, is it going to be the Boss-stompers? Is it going to be the Rock-hurlers, I think they were called? Or is it going to be, probably most people's favourite, is going to be her right here? I think the Beasties and this guy, the helmet, are my favourite. But with that, let me know yours. And until next time, remember, as always, that Nagash is all, and all is one in Nagash.